ไม่ได้ยินอะไรเลยนะคุณเอ็นไม่ได้ยินอะไรเลยค่ะ
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
ค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะ Can you hear
Yes, we can hear you. สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์ I think we can start. Hang, do you have anything you would like, any question to bring up today, or anyone else?
Thank you, Sarah. Actually, I still don't have any question yet. Just have a comment that I listened to the Thai discussion and I was impressed when Achan asked about the what are you living? Are you living for? What were you born for? I mean that answer. Some answer says that born for dying. So it's quite impressed because normally we don't think about the days, and we have discussed a lot about the days at the moment, but normally we don't think about the days, and most of our friends still caring about the days. When we listen to the truth of the days, but it's quite beneficial for us to be reminded about the days in this moment. This is my considering. Yes.
When born in this life, it's just born to die, to
Yes.
finish the life, and actually at each moment too, each reality is born to pass away instantly. So
yes,
death at each moment. So is born to die when we think of the conventional life, and born to die at each
yes,
moment. Nothing lasts at all. Like I remember last week or one time Ajahn was saying, no use crying or feeling sad because everything is gone in a moment, instantly. So what we grieve about or what we wish for actually is just for a moment and of no consequence, gone instantly. But like
yes,
you say, there's always forgetting all the time.
yes, we're all waiting. Yes.
Yes.
Anytime was a reminder about the truth now, so it's very,
Yes.
very precious time.
Whatever we find of significance or importance is actually just in a moment of experiencing and then gone completely, never to return again. And I had a small question, Hung, when you were asking about a couple of weeks ago about the Iddhipadas, Chanda,
Yes.
Virya, Chitta, and Vimamsa. Ajahn, when referring to Vimamsa, you were referring to attention to the object. But I understood Vimamsa is another word for panya, that it's understanding. So I'm just interested in why you were referring to attention. Is it understanding with attention? Would you say a little more?
I totally forgot about this, but I think that I'm confusing about the condition for Vimamsa is it's like a passaddhi or concentration. So it's a point that I'm confusing about.
Perhaps Ajahn would add a little bit more,
Yes.
because I think it refers to the understanding, but let's see what Ajahn would like to say.
Sarah.
This what we are talking about is about Iddhipada,
Yes.
Yes.
not now. but it means the understanding of the point of what is now to be known. For example, even it's now appearing, it cannot be known. So, Intl.Dhamma, how can it be known? Without any understanding at all, without the intellectual understanding, how can there be a little more understanding the subtlety of what is there now and every moment? That's why it has to understand whatever is there as it is, as not so, but what seems to be now is just everything as something and someone all the time. That's why life is so short. No one can realize the truth, enlighten the truth that Buddha had enlightened, but begin to understand the subtlety, the very profound truth that without understanding little by little about how subtle it is, it's impossible to attain the degree, the understanding of realization of the truth as we have learned a little bit at a time. That's why at this moment, is there any interest to understand the depth of what is there? To be known that it's quite far away, no one can imagine. One just in the midst of blindness, even whatever now seems to be so light and bright, appearing as something all the time. But in truth, the truth of each moment is not that at all. That's why we learn to understand the subtle meaning of the noble truth. It's so true, but it's not as it appears at all. That's why the subtlety is that there must be interest to understand what can be moment of realization of the truth, not just hearing about it, consider about it, but to understand that it's so very, very subtle. That's why without interest to understand the subtlety of what is there as it is, it's impossible for Intl.Dhamma, because it has to be the understanding of the truth, to be interested in understanding what is so very subtle. And this is the only way to attain enlightenment, realizing the truth of what is there now, covered up by ignorance and attachment all the time. That's why interest to understand the subtlety of seeing right now is not that which is seen, and it is conditioned to arise. Even it is moment of birth, it's conditioned to arise and gone each moment, no matter moment of birth or moment of seeing or hearing or whatever. So the great and best trainer or teacher is enlightenment. He knew everything about different accumulation, tendency of the being, no matter in what world. That's why he taught about the truth to be firmly understood about the truth, that this moment is not anyone or anything at all, just very short term. This moment is not anyone or anything at all. How deep it is. That's why we listen again and again, and it's trained from being careless into being careful, wisely consider the very profound truth of what is there now. No one at all. How come to realize the truth, to be interested in the way to develop, to train oneself from being careless into to be careful and wise, considering whatever is there heard, no one at all. So it's not enough, because someone and something is always there. That's why hearing again, consider again, and this is the virya, is it, chanda and virya, and chitta is there. Continue on, understanding the path or whatever is there through very little at a time, and it is letting go of trying by thinking that there can be other way. Just intention or so very effort to be such and such, to try this way and that way, into just understanding what is there. So Chitta keeps on, not forget or not realize the truth, but it's that as Chitta has itself their condition, their virya and interest, and along the way, right now, on the way, along the way, it needs very careful considering and right understanding has to be there. Otherwise, without right understanding, someone would go to some place, try to understand whatever is not there as now at all. That's why Panya is there as being Mansa. No matter what we're going, move on a little bit from this ignorance and the thickness, ignorance and the very sticky ignorance to understand the way, the path, not just try by oneself to break it, but to understand it little by little, by seeing, understanding the very subtle reality right now, everything gone. And it appears as it is, by right understanding, which gradually letting go the idea of self and ignorance and attachment to this moment or any moment. That's why the Itipata is not ordinary daily life, just to go or to do something with Viriya, but it's for enlightenment, the truth. Itipata, iti, not just going somewhere and buy something, but it's iti, miraculous moment that it can experience what is there as it is, as one has confidence firmer and firmer of the truth. So it's not just for something to do, going somewhere, shopping or anything, but it is interest of understanding, on understanding what is there now, little by little, with Priya, and Chitta keeps on, continue on having such moment, and Panya is there, wisely consider whether this is the only way before all ignorance and attachment can be moved from this moment, no understanding of what is there. So this life is so precious when it understands the subtlety of realities right now. But it's so true that it can be understood gradually from moment to moment, and right understanding, even in false way, it's developed or accumulated on and on to understand the future reality which appears, not this one because it's gone already. So there must be the Satipatthana and the Itipatthana, see, before there can be the understanding gradually of what is there, as is so very subtle. And this is Panya, which begins to let go the idea of trying to do something, remember something, try to find out the meaning of that and that. But what about it's so subtle? That's why just hearing again and again and again, that's the only way to let go ignorance of that which is now appearing or of that which would be next, on and on. So life goes on as usual, normally, and right understanding develops the understanding of whatever is there by conditions until moment of enlightenment. It means it's just experience what is there now as it is, and what one has firm confidence of the truth of each one as different ones, and only ones in samsara. More interesting than thinking about this, because temporary death is now this moment. So the moment of samadhi, marana, just like when, exactly the same. Are you afraid of this moment as death as well?
Not yet, Ajahn. Thank you, Ajahn. It's very clearly and deep and in detail about the Vimamsa, and I got understand about factor that Panya will lead for factor of Ipada. And I'd like to correct my understanding that it has to base on the Satipatthana as a background. I mean, that is the starting point to mention about the Iddhipada. We cannot say Iddhipada now, but for the development of Satipatthana, so the four factor will be developed until the
The point.
Iddhipada, right?
And the point of Iddhipada, to understand this moment, which is so very subtle. Forget about understanding it just right now to the end, but begin to see the subtlety of the truth, that how long will it take to go against the current of ignorance and attachment, accumulated blindness in darkness. Just falling all the time to the pit of ignorance and attachment and darkness. Even it's so light, everything appears as people and things, but it's so dark, no understanding of the truth. And without the teachings of the truth from the enlightenment, how come from being in the darkness to understand the truth of what is there, which appears not as dark, but it's so dark because at moment of thought seeing, all are in darkness. But right understand the truth, it has to be there, such that moment does not appear as now at all day life, seeing things all the time. It seems like no gap and nothing gone at all, but in truth, each moment is gone. Even right now, see the difference between darkness and light, understanding and ignorance, and the truth, the absolute truth. And this is the moment of Iddhipada developed from hearing, considering, not just having Satipatthana right then. Even Satipatthana has to be carefully understood. Because now we just talk about the seeing and that which is seen and so on, because it's there in life, each moment. But what about the reality, which is Sati, haven't been talked about so much, because we learn to understand different realities, and now we talk about Citta, the chief of experiencing what is there unknown, because what is there appearing is not Citta. It's that which is experienced by Citta. Keep on learning about one reality at a time, like Vitaka and so on, and Manasikara, see, not in the book, but now beginning to understand that it's not just Citta, the reality which is achieved, which is hidden. What are there together this moment can be known little by little, to let go the idea of self, or think that we have learned a lot and we go so far, but in truth, understanding what is the difference between intellectual understanding and that which is direct understanding. No doubt that without the intellectual understanding of what is there now, there cannot be moment of directly aware and understand the truth that we have learned.
Thank you, Achan. So the moment of understanding the reality now is also the development of Intl.Dhamma and Satipatthana, is it right?
From no understanding at all to understand what is there to be realized, to be object of sati, and what is that which can condition right understanding with awareness of what is there now. Be true to the truth. And understanding the certainty develops to letting go the idea of self and something all day in life, in years and years ago and ahead. And this is the letting go, unknown. There is doubt about it. But actually, moment of understanding is moment of no ignorance as before. Even from hearing, it begins to understand in darkness what is there as it is. But the eyes doesn't open enough or not open to understand what is there yet. That's why the development of understanding has to develop from the very beginning. That's why the teachings of the Buddha is so very, very beautiful from the beginning to the middle and the end. All about the truth of this moment to be known just little by little. But it's there, implanted, see, to begin to understand that the world is not as it is, as we thought about, as before, full of people and things all around, but in truth is what we have learned, one reality at a time, to implant the interest and the viriya and the citta and the panya little by little. And without satipatthana, how can there be the ittipata? And without the intellect understanding, how can there be the moment of satipatthana, directly understanding what is there? Very gradually, unknowingly, against the current of ignorance and attachment after moment and moment of seeing, hearing, and so on. And this is the path. See how subtle it is. Understanding from hearing, it's a moment and then it's gone, but it's implanted, enrooted, engraved little by little. So very little comparing to how much is accumulated from eons and countless eons, not understanding what is there, beginning to consider the truth, hearing more, consider more of the truth, even just one word. For example, no one, see, at first moment of hearing, and now it develops very gradually. And the truth is so very subtle. That's why sharing with the others, the best thing in life, the best moment in life, to live, to understand the truth and share the truth with the other. Because it's so precious. When all the teachings gone, no one can understand what is there and what is the path leading to understand it gradually from moment to moment.
Ajahn, it's like when you talk about chitta, and we listen to you. you explaining about chitta, and that's what we need to hear, because without it we wouldn't know the truth of. We wouldn't even have the idea of about the truth of what chitta really is, and we begin to understand and realize the reality which is there now, which wasn't never known before, and even if it's just intellectual understanding about it, it begins to appear to very little panya, and it's like a new world which opens up, like a new something which is which without the words of the Buddha would never been known about, because what we know is about the object, as you explained so well. We really need to listen to hear these words, I think.
And if we don't talk about it at all, we forget about it, no thought about it. So how can it be acquainted as it is, that which is now sees? And what does it mean? That it's the object which is seen, otherwise without that which experiences it, there cannot be any object seen at all. Through the five doorways, the sound, the smell, the taste, the touch, and then the mind just experience those objects as they seeing, hearing, and so on. That's all in life. Hear it again and again and again, as having accumulation of ignorance and attachment again and again from eons and eons ago up to now. See? And this is the way Buddha developed his understanding while he was Bodhisattva, just to understand what is there. Having heard, having met how many Buddhas in the past, continue on having firm confidence, developing by hearing, considering in different life by conditions before becoming enlightened, just like now. So here again, now there is seeing, and there must be the reality which sees it. And it's there from birth, but not the same chitta, not the same moment. Each moment arises and falls away instantly, breaking up, no more at all. That's all. Each moment, learning to understand the truth, implanted firm confidence to understand the truth in life. In any life we don't know, by conditions. Some life haven't heard the teaching at all, and some life have opportunity to listen and accumulated right understanding gradually until it conditioned moment of hearing again, consider it again. In life, short or long, we don't know. But as long as it's implanted and rooted, they're conditioned for it to grow. And the fruit of the tree is understanding a little more by way of the bud, the flower, and the fruit. Just like now, see, be truthful to the truth. Parami, be true to the truth right now. Whereas the eye, the seeing sees, the hearing hears, the thinking thinks. But we learn about chitta, and then we learn a little more about other mental factor, which does not perform the function of chitta. It has its own characteristic, and it has its own function, beginning to understand sati, what is it, from the very beginning, in moment of doing good, and moment of understanding, and moment of a little more understanding, on and on and on. Not to forget that sati is not chitta. Learn about each mental factors as different ones. The word cannot give the meaning or the truth of it as it is beyond the word. That's why after hearing just one word, one characteristic, one function, develop on and on, consider the truth by hearing more and more about vitakka, about vichara, about phassa, about ayatana, understand the meaning of the word, which means this moment, like ayatana. See, we don't just think about how many ayatanas, but whatever is there, condition, a moment of experiencing an object. Otherwise, even that which is the chief of experiencing cannot arise at all. No word, nothing at all. That's why learn about the truth as much as a moment can condition understanding little by little. So we can talk about anything at moment of considering carefully. Right understanding is there, beginning to grow little by little. But it grows very, very slowly. Slower than a snail move from one place to another place. Because the ignorance and attachment is so thick, so enormous. And this is the word for develop avriya, effort. See, without it, without itipada, chanda, viriya, see, chitta, and vimasa carefully conditioned. The way is so subtle to realize the truth, because the truth is so very subtle. So all kinds of realities are so very subtle. Samma-citti, samma-sankappa, and so on. Now they are there, see, at moment of understanding, but not conditioned to directly understand what is there yet. Until then, by conditions, the understanding of anatta is firmer and firmer at moment of panya, realize the truth. Is it now? See, it's now unknown, beginning to understand it. No one. The path is moment of understanding, arising and falling away before seeing. The chitta which arises before seeing, doesn't see, and so on. Just understand each moment that is there, only so very short. Every moment in life is just like that, and then gone. From day to day, from morning to night. No one can stop conditions for whatever arises. So as long as there are conditions for whatever arises, it now arises and falls away instantly.
And this is the training you were talking about. And you said training not to be anyone, not to be training the training to
And Panya itself trains. Without Panya, it is all the time, ignorance, attachment, and other reality. Kusala and kusala vipaka kriya. And what do we talk about? Seeing, hearing, because it's there in the day, all the time.
Without training, we would keep on thinking about this table and things, and table and people, and the training. Even right now, the training is understanding the present moment.
Understanding the present reality, but in between thinking about table and chair and people as usual. And even when the understanding develops on and on, even when it's the Bodhipakya-Dhamma, the Iddhipada, and it's the understanding that is so close to enlightenment, still in between thinking of chairs and tables as usual. With
so now are we in between, or are
we?
What moment is now? Is it the moment in between, or is it a moment of actually training?
So the training is at the moments of understanding. When there's no understanding, there's no training. So it's just for a moment and then passed away, dead, gone forever. So just brief moments of training that have to accumulate. So now at moments of understanding, there is chanda and virya, but it's not iddhipada, because it's not the Bodhipakya-Dhamma, but it trains, it develops until it becomes firmer and firmer, until it becomes moments of satipatthana, direct understanding, and then still has to continue training, continue developing. The understanding has to develop to become an indriya and then a bala, so powerful, and Bodhipakya-Dhamma when we refer to the iddhipadas. So it is the training that continues on, but in between moments of thinking about people and things as usual, but less and less wrong understanding.
So the training is now. So
it's now at moments of understanding, for a moment only. Like a moment of seeing, it's not training. At moment of hearing, it's not training. At moments of kindness, metta, it's not training. The training is the development of understanding for a moment and then gone.
Isn't it another now after this now? Isn't there another now?
Another now, because the training accumulates, the understanding accumulates. But there has to be more and more training, more and more understanding has to develop.
Yes,
this is Sika, and it is the development of understanding.
Yeah,
but only ever for a moment. So we shouldn't think there's less thinking of trees and people, because life carries on as normal. Daily life is as usual.
Another word of the
Still
Buddha
know who is who in the background.
Another word of the Buddha is Sarati. I think is the trainer of man and of God and man. So we're a bit untrained, I think.
In truth, it's not we who is trained or untrained. There are just moments of understanding that arise and fall away, and then moments of ignorance, moments of clinging, moments of seeing, moments of hearing, as usual. And so the test is always at this moment, whether there is any training now or not. But it's not I who trains or is untrained.
Yeah, exactly. The moment of training is when there is no Sarah, but visible object. That's the moment of training.
It's the moment
Otherwise,
of
it's just the
understanding
moment
what appears.
in between training, when I think about Sarah and what she's saying, and do I agree or disagree, or that's
But
not the
even
moment
when,
of training for sure.
even
It's the
when
moment
thinking
of in
about
between
this,
training.
even when thinking about this person, what Sarah says or doesn't say, there can be training darting in and out, moments of understanding, even at those times that it's just sound heard, just visible objects seen, just citta arising and falling away, even whilst having those thoughts, just such quick moments. And the odd understanding pops up and then it's gone. Any time, any situation. Just like the seeing and hearing arises briefly in between, even whilst thinking about some long story. And in the same way, understanding can pop up any time, even amongst those many, many moments of thinking about the ideas. It's very natural. If we think there should be less thinking about what Sarah's saying or the trees or the houses, then it's not the right understanding. That's an idea of I and changing the situation, not the natural training that develops in daily life.
Yeah, okay, thank you, John. Thank you, sir.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Ajahn, I've heard you say it's arisen already and no one can do anything. Can you expand on that, please?
Please say it again.
It's arisen already and no one can do anything. So I'm a bit curious as about this arisen already, because I've related that little sentence to what's happening now, and it's not clear to me what it actually means. Can you explain, please?
A sea now has arisen.
Well, it arises and falls, arises and falls.
Arise and fall.
Yes.
Now.
Yes.
No doubt. Or still doubt.
What was that, Ajahn?
Sea now has risen. It arises, it falls away. But it appears. But the arising and the falling away doesn't appear. Right?
Correct.
So what is the doubt about?
I guess I'm putting me in there. I don't think I doubt it. I was just curious as to, so we're discussing jitta, aren't we? Jitta arises and it's gone. And go on, Ajahn.
If we don't use the term citta, is there a reality which arises and ceases?
Yes.
And is there any word for it? It. But what is this it? And what is that it? And what is those its? Right?
But it's jitta.
Okay. So we use the word citta for the reality which arises and is a chief of experience, the characteristic of that which is there. as the object. Only that. Is that right? Begin to understand the truth of this moment. What is seen, not thought about, just is seen. Now, breaking up the very long moment into just very short moment. Seeing cannot think, seeing cannot know the shape and form. A reality arises, perform its function by conditions just to see and then gone. Otherwise, I cannot be thinking about the shape and form of what is seen for a long time, arising and falling in split seconds. But it conditioned the shape and form to be known, while it's like gone. Each moment we are talking about. Unknown, but what is true? Is it not true? A moment of seeing, can it be the shape and form or someone or something? Or it's only that which is seen. The sound, the smell, and the other reality cannot be seen at all. Only this one appears now. It's now appearing. It's because a reality arises to experience it. What about the blind? We talk about the blind. No seeing. Why not? Because seeing is just a reality which arises to see, not arises to hear, not to arise to think. Is it true? Just begin to be truthful to the truth, to understand the truth, that the truth is the truth. No one there at all. But there must be conditions for whatever arises. The sun, the moon, the sky, the lightning, all there by conditions. When it's there, just when it's there and then gone, no more storm, no more lightning. No more thunder. See, just in a moment. But sanya, a reality, must and remember, and it's there now. Whatever is seen is taken for something by sanya, a reality, not that which arises to see, but this one arises to mark and know what is there. And remember, that's why in the day, lots of remembering this person, this plate and that shoes and so on, all by that which remember the shape and form of that which has arisen and fallen away. And at moment of taking it for something, it's not seeing, it's not hearing. So learn to understand life so closely to know in truth what is there. Just a moment. So understanding what is there as it is. If there is thinking, there is doubt about this and that all the time, but it's not understanding the truth of what is there for just a moment. But it seems long moments. But in truth, very, very short. Unknown until the enlightenment of the enlightened one, having developed so great wisdom until it's time to enlighten the truth. After that, each word from his enlightenment help the other or condition the understanding of the others who listen carefully and be truthful to each word about each reality. For example, seeing cannot be other thing at all. It is seeing, a moment of seeing as well. Not long. At moment of thinking, it's not a moment of seeing. Is that true?
Yes, Ajahn.
So no one but it's understanding of the truth beginning to develop, begin to enroot, to implant with interest, to keep on, listen again, understanding the subtlety. Without understanding the subtlety of reality, there's no letting go at all.
It's risen already. I think this is pointing to how there is no control by anyone. For example, one may think one would like to be aware of chitta, seeing, for example, but it's arisen already and fallen away countless times whilst one is thinking about being aware of it. Or one may wish to have less lobha or no dosa at this moment, but it's arisen already. No one can stop it. No one can change it. It's arisen and it's gone countless times. So it's a reminder of how anatta dhammas are arising by conditions, not in anyone's control. No one can be aware by choice. No one can make anything arise or stop anything from arising because it's arisen already. That's how I understand the point.
Yes, a moment ago, Achan talked about the long, I can't remember what it was, but pointing to these moments of arising and falling are so fast, but these long moments is when we start thinking about all sorts of things, because I was thinking about this particular thing this morning. It's arisen already. And I was pondering, just staring out the window, and it's arisen already. It's arisen already, but it's a story, there's not enough panya, not enough wisdom to actually know the moments of arising and falling.
And I think this is particularly.
Go on.
I was just going to say, sorry to interrupt, I thought we paused. I think this is particularly appropriate in the case of akusala chittas, because there can be a tendency to wish that there weren't akusala when it's obviously there. So when akusala appears, it's arisen already. It can't be undone. So it's there. Akusala is only known when it's arisen already. So the idea that there's something that can be done about it is based on a wrong assumption.
That's another point I haven't thought of that, because what I was thinking of, that moment of seeing has arisen already and gone, but you're saying it's more emphasis on the kusala and akusala. Is that right?
I'm saying it's particularly appropriate in the case of akusala.
Yeah.
If we're talking about seeing, for example, we're more likely to say, well, it's gone already, rather than it's arisen already. Because what is being thought about is realities that have already fallen away.
Right. Because it's the nimitta, isn't it, of what was seen? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So arisen already means it can't be stopped, helped. It's there. Too bad, too late, nothing to be done.
Yes. Yes.
Or the example Alberto gave, thinking about what someone is saying and thinking about the story, but all those moments of thinking have arisen already. So it's useless to think they shouldn't be there or there should be less thinking, because each moment, each citta has arisen and gone by its conditions. But understanding can also arise in the middle of those many moments of thinking, understanding what appears also by conditions, but no one can make it arise. When it's time for thinking of an idea, it's time for thinking of an idea. When it's time for seeing, it's time for seeing. When it's time for attachment, it's time for attachment. Whatever arises, it's arisen already and gone, not in anyone's control.
And can I say, when it's dreaming, it's time for dreaming. While I'm speaking of dreaming, I had some very weird dreams last night. And this morning I was thinking about the dreams. And I thought, well, it seems it's a bit different to thinking when you're awake and doing stuff or something. But it's just thinking, isn't it? There's no difference between the thinking now and the thinking when they're sleeping. It's called dreaming. There's no difference at all. It was just very weird dreams.
Yes, so no matter whether it's thinking about pictures in your background or thinking about flying dragons, it's just thinking about different ideas, different stories, different concepts. And it's still just Citta, which is experiencing at each moment, thinking about whatever there are conditions to think about, that's all. And each Citta is gone. And what is thought about doesn't arise and fall away, because it's just that which is imagined. But the Citta has arisen and gone instantly at each moment. But there's clinging on to the story, keep thinking about what was dreamt about, what was imagined, because of Lobha and Sanya, clinging on, not letting go. So
Yes,
usually whether sleeping or in the daytime, one's obsessed with the story, with the idea, keep thinking about it, imagining it, taking it for being real. But it's just another illusion, another idea.
I have another question. If nobody else has got anything, want to come in? No?
Go ahead, Azita.
Okay, I think it came up on Saturday discussion. It was about thinking. And so, Jonathan, you emphasized that it's Citta which thinks. And I presume that means it's Citta that takes the object. Because I thought because Vitakka is translated as thinking, but it's I've got a bit confused about the Vitakka and the Citta that thinks. So could you speak a little bit more about that?
Well, let's go back to the dreaming situation for a minute. Is it Citta that dreams?
Yeah, well, it must be, mustn't it?
Must be.
Because it's Citta that's arising and falling. It does have the Jeta seekers with it.
It's Citta that is chief in experiencing the object, whether that object is a reality or a concept.
Right.
It is the object of Citta and Jeta seekers.
Yeah.
But mainly of Citta, we'll say, because the Jeta seekers perform a sort of auxiliary function. I mean, they're very necessary, but they're, in terms of the experiencing, they're supplementary to the Citta.
Mm. Yes, it became a little clearer because I was a bit confused about how Vitakka operates, and it's called it touches the object. Mm-hmm. But when you mentioned Citta that thinks, that made more sense to me, because, as you say, it's the chief in experiencing.
Yes.
So, yeah, okay, that's good to know.
And so it's Citta that thinks about the visible object that's being seen at the present moment and the sound that's being heard, and that conceptualizes in terms of a screen with faces and words that have meaning, that are understandable, and that sort of thing. That's all the function of citta.
Citta has to be accompanied by the different cetasikas, such as vitakka, and vitakka has to accompany every citta in daily life, apart from seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. But as we stressed on Saturday, even the other cittas in the sense door process, the sampaticana, the santirana, the fortapana, the kusala and akusala cittas, they all need vitakka to experience the object, even though at those moments there isn't what we conventionally call thinking. So not just in the mind door, but also in the sense door process, vitakka has to assist the citta to touch. It has to lead to the object for the citta to experience, and for the other cetasikas to perform their particular functions. So at moments of dreaming, vitakka has to play its important role of assisting the citta, leading the citta to experience the object. Just like other cetasikas like Chaitanya have to perform their functions, Ekagata has to focus on one object, and so on. So that's why it doesn't really matter what word we use, but there has to be a little more understanding of what the reality itself is.
Yes, because all those cetasikas that arise with citta, they all have specific functions. And, you know, in this gross world, sitting thinking, it's hard to imagine what's really going on. And sometimes I sit and think about what I've learned, and it's wonderful, but it's also very difficult to get a grasp on it, because as soon as there's something else comes up, that learning is gone. You know, you forget about it. So, and that's reality as well.
Whatever citta's arisen, it's arisen already, not in anyone's control. It doesn't matter. It's arisen and it's gone. So whether it's thinking about some idea in like when dreaming now, or whether it is thinking with understanding, it all depends on conditions. Nothing to do with I, not my experience, not my dreaming, not my understanding, not my being led astray. Just so that's why we learn about these different cetasikas and their functions, and when they arise, just to understand that there are different dhammas arising and falling away by conditions, nothing else in life. Just for the letting go of the idea of I and my experience and my dream and my understanding or lack of understanding.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Achan.
John, just to get back to Hung's topic of the Iddhipadas, Hung, I think you mentioned when you were talking about them concentration, which reminded me that in the text we often see referred to Chanda Samadhi, Virya Samadhi, Chitta Samadhi, Vimamsa Samadhi, and I think that often this is in the context of Samatha Bhavana, but it's always still referring to the development of Iddhipada, the understanding of the truth. But I'd like to ask Jan, following up from your point about concentration, why it refers to Chanda, Samadhi, and so on. Do you have any comments, Jan?
Yes. For what? Chanda Samadhi. There must be other realities matter too at that very moment. It depends on what point we are talking about. That's why we learn about one cetasika at a time. It arises with how many moments? Citta, experience the object. And citta is different by many factors which arises together. That's why it is different levels of citta, like Kamavachara, Rupavachara, and so on. That's why each moment is different by that which accompanies citta, which experiences the object. But the citta itself is pure, pandara, see? So it depends on what point we are talking about. The samatha bhavana, vipassana bhavana, or general development of kusala and so on. It means that when we talk about samadhi together, it means that there must be samadhi there too. And also the other cetasika, like ayatana. When we talk about seeing and so on, we just talk about Dhamma Vajana, Dhamma Yatana, but we can talk about Sanya Yatana, Vitakka Yatana, and so on. It depends on what point we're talking about to stress, or not to forget that there must be samadhi at different levels too. It means that, excuse me, it means that there must be the samadhi too, but different degrees.
Yes, so I think in these contexts, that as we know, ekagata cetasika arises with every citta. So even when there is no development of samatha bhavana, no attainment of jhana, when we're referring to Iddhipada, then the ekagata cetasika develops firmer and firmer with the right understanding. But I think in these contexts in the text, when it refers to Chanda Samadhi and so on, it is actually referring to the development of samatha bhavana, that degree of concentration that has been developed up to the level of jhana that accompanies the citta. So sometimes, so we have to know on the context at each moment which is what is being referred to. So just different degrees of samadhi depending on the accumulation and what is being developed. But still, when it is Iddhipada, it has to be the chanda and the understanding of the path that is enlightenment factors, bodhipakkhya dhammas. But it's quite intricate, easy to misunderstand when one's reading.
Sorry.
And different moments too, because there may be the moment of highly developed samatha bhavana, the moment of attaining jhana, and then next moment there may be the moment of enlightenment, but with the samadhi of that degree. So all by conditions already arisen.
It's so subtle.
I think it helps to appreciate that whatever we read, whatever is written, is actually related or referring to the development of the path. So no matter how great that degree of samadhi is. Still, it is the condition for understanding. It is all related to the understanding of the Four Noble Truths, the development of the path. But it depends on accumulations, whether there has been the accumulation of developing samatha bhavana, or the accumulation of a lot of lobha, or the accumulation of great anger, like in Angulimala's case. So it all depends on accumulations, but whatever is referred to has to be referring to the path. And the greatest magic is the magic of enlightenment and the fruit of enlightenment.
Sorry, I would just like to, I'm not sure if it's a question, about when we say without realities there can be no concept. Without the visible object, there cannot be table. And without without concept, can there be the reality? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll have to work on this a bit more. Sorry about this.
When you say without visible object, there cannot be table, well, actually, there is no table with or without visible object, but without visible object, there cannot be the thinking of the idea of table. There cannot be the story about something as a table there.
And I think what we can say on the other way around, Alberto, is that without concepts, there cannot be the understanding realities, because understanding needs the hearing of a description of the world as it is in order to arise. It needs reminders, and these are all conveyed by means of concepts. So if there were no concepts, there would be no conditions for understanding to arise.
Without the words, there cannot be the teachings. There cannot be the
right.
Yeah.
The teachings rely on concepts to be heard and understood.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. The relationship between concept and understanding.
I don't think it's a point that needs to be particularly dwelt upon. It's just that the relationships that are useful to know about are those that we call conditions, because conditions are what describe relationships between different realities.
Yeah, I wrote a note, but I'm not sure. I can't remember what it's about. Because when we talk about paññatti, we refer to one way of classifying paññatti is Vijamana paññatti and Avijamana paññatti. the concept which exist and the concept which are non-existent. Like the example, I think, is the kanda. So there can be concept of reality, like the word kanda is a concept, but it's a concept of a reality. But if you say table, it's avijamana panyati. It's a concept about something which is not real.
But are these things that are necessary to know in order for understanding to develop?
Do you only have the question, or do you also have the answer? Is it a rhetorical question?
The point is, I think, that whatever concept it is, whether it's of something real or not real, it's still just an idea. It's not the understanding of thinking of the citta as a reality, or the attachment that appears now, or the feeling at this moment, the pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling. So it's still just thinking about different concepts, or thinking about the story of different concepts. So it's not the understanding of what appears.
Let's not go down the road of analyzing concepts.
Perhaps just a final word, Jonathan. Alberto, I think it can be a reminder too, bringing up those two concepts, really, that the word is not the reality. That kanda or panya, which anybody can say and talk about, they are not the reality. So that's a kind of another helpful indicator. We think by knowing the words that it can point to a person with understanding, but it has to be the accumulated understanding, the pariyatti of the teachings. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how many times you say panya or sati or whatever ayatana kanda, it's just going to, it sort of underscores how important it is to consider carefully the Dhamma, and of course, we're only able to consider at the level of which we are capable. That's circumvented, if you like, by the nature of anatta. But I think that's what I take from those two different avijjana and vijjana panyati. That it's not the word that's the important thing ultimately. It has to be the understanding.
And just a minor point, but I'm not sure it's correct to say that kanda is the concept of a reality, because the reality is the rupa or the nama in question.
Yeah, that's right. Kanda is too generic. Yeah. Maybe.
Jonathan, I'm not sure if I got your point there. Can you repeat what you just said? Thank you.
I said the reality is the rupa or nama, the conditioned reality. Kanda is a way of classifying those realities, as I understand it. So there's no actual reality that is kanda or dhatu or ayatana. They're all terms that are used to help explain and help us to understand the realities.
Sure, yeah. I can't still see, yeah, so in a sense, Vijimana Panyati, that can point to the reality. So I'm not quite still sure what distinction you're making, or I'm just overthinking what you said. I'm not too sure about that.
So what is the characteristic of Khanda?
Well, then I guess in view, hold a minute, yeah, in view of what we're talking about, the characteristic was, as you said, it's either a nama or a rupa, whether it's rupa khanda or any of the other 4 nama khandas, that can be a reminder to the wise person. So the characteristic, well, in the case of rupa khanda, is that which appears now, for example. Yeah, but I'm not too sure how far that is pointing to an understanding of what you just said earlier on.
If we said visible object, then that would be a nama, a label, a concept pointing to a reality.
True.
If we say a khanda, it doesn't point to any particular reality.
Yeah, true. Oh, dear me. True, again.
But any conditioned reality is a khanda. So khanda refers to any reality. Like loba now is khanda, seeing now is khanda. As well, object is a khanda. We've just got a few minutes left. Let's just see if Ajahn would like to say anything before we finish today. Please.
Without citta, can there be anything?
Nothing, Ajahn.
That's right. What we're talking about are different realities. But there must be citta. Each moment experiences what is there by way of understanding, by way of concept, or by way of what? There are only 6 ways of experiencing an object. And citta is there from moment to moment, arises and experiences one of the 6 from moment to moment. That's all. Even what is taken for concept without citta, can there be such what we say concept? That's why learning to understand the chief of experiencing the world on everything runs or goes under a reality which is citta, experiencing an object at any time, no matter it's with ignorance or understanding. But citta is only that which arises and experiences what is there now, any moment. That's why I understand what is real and what is not real. Because they can be thinking of that which has seen, but it's not moment of seeing. It's just a moment of thinking of what is experienced and thinking of the word and the story about it. 6 ways from moment to moment. That's all. So without citta, there's nothing for sure. Is there any question about this point?
No questions, Ajahn, but that's a very profound statement. Without citta, there's nothing. I think that's great. I'm going to write that in big letters on my wall.
Without citta, there cannot be words, concept, thinking, anything at all.
Can be nothing.
Right. That's why the chief is so powerful in the sense that without it, there is nothing at all. But it's not permanent. No matter we talk about that which arises and is the chief of experiencing what is that, just in a moment of birth, not a moment of Bhavanka, and moment of Bhavanka is not moment of seeing, and so on. It means that all depends on conditions and not permanent at all. Whatever arises falls away instantly, and that can be learned little by little from considering carefully about what is said about a reality, which condition the direct understanding of no matter what that we have talked about, whether it is citta or sanya or vedana, see, depending on conditions, and all come to the truth, anatta, no one, no thing, nothing can be controlled, all by conditions. Whatever arises is conditioned to arise. When there are conditions for arising, no one can stop the arising of that reality. In a moment, very short experiences an object and then gone forever, never to arise again. Anytime, until the understanding get closer to one moment, no thought about what is before or after, because that moment is seeing, that moment is hearing, or that moment is liking, or moment of feeling, and so on. Whatever appears can be studied, can be learned to understand its truth, gradually, little by little. And this is the path leading to having firmer and clearer understanding of what is there now, as we have talked about. So I think it's fine now. Sawasdee ka.
Sawasdee ka, Ajahn.
Sawasdee krap, Ajahn. Thank you very much.
Sawasdee
Ajahn.
krap.